I'm Chloe Mansfield, and my husband and I started Natural Way, which was Wales's first zero waste shop when we first opened it. That was back in 2018 in March. And we our backgrounds were both in sort of environmental sciences. So our motivation was very much to try and offer customers a chance to shop in a more sort of environmentally conscious way. We found it's very frustrating not being able to purchase things without this single-use packaging. So we thought, well, if we're struggling and looking for an alternative, other people must be as well. We thought we might as well try and offer that opportunity to people. So yeah, that was 3 years ago. We'll always remember our opening day because it was that beast from the east with all the snow, and it was a real nightmare. But we did get open, and it's been really good. People are really interested. We sell foods, so mainly like whole foods, dried food, things like that. But we've also do refillable cleaning products, and demand is really what drives what we stock. So we've moved more recently into sort of refillable personal care products as well, so shampoos, conditioners, that sort of thing. So it's always changing, lots of different things, but our focus is on packaging free foods, I guess.
Yeah, Crickhowell's very proud of its sort of independent shops. Did you feel that you were feeling that there was a gap in the market for your shop?
Crickhowell was really key to why we opened and where we opened and everything. The support for independence there is amazing, and to have such a thriving high street as well, because you don't often see in town centres these days many food shops. People aren't doing their food shoppings in town centres. But Crickhowell has managed to keep those essentially, the greengrocers, they've got a deli, they've got butchers, they've got bakery. It's a place where people are doing their food shopping, and people are just popping in to get bits and pieces. And they love to have the diversity that the high street offers. So because of that, and particularly the story of the building we're in, which is a community-owned building, so it was saved from being I think it was a small supermarket they were going to change it into. The residents bought it and offered it as 3 independent shops as well. So that really appealed to us. But yeah, so since we've been there, the people who drove the whole campaign for the building we're in, actually, to get it bought by the community, they also were the ones who put so much effort into this application for Great British High Street, and then they won. So pretty special place to be, and something we're really grateful for. And we appreciate that not everybody has the opportunity to be somewhere like we are.
So had you been involved in social enterprises before starting Natural Way?
So my husband was working for the Government Fisheries Laboratory doing stock assessments and things like that for specifically shellfish. And then I was working, most recently I was working for the Wildlife Trust in Cardiff, doing environmental policy with Welsh Government and sort of collaborating with all the different wildlife trusts across Wales to try and share work and things. So obviously Wildlife Trust is a charity, but quite different to the sort of work we do, and also the way we operate, because we are a limited company as well. So there was a massive learning curve, and whenever anyone asks us what the biggest challenges were, it's just the amount of stuff we had to learn to try and get this all right, and the number of people we had to ask help for. But yeah, it's I think once you start getting into it, though, it's a bit addictive. I can't imagine going back now to working somewhere else.
What does an average day look like for Natural Way? What's your day-to-day sort of things that you do? So
like at the moment, or when we've not got coronavirus, like locking everything down?
Let's pretend the virus never.
Yeah. So because it's, Rob and I started it up, and it's kind of our baby, so before coronavirus, then the lockdown and everything, one of us was in there every day. We started off just doing 5 days a week, then we increased to 6 days a week, and they were full days. We'd get there at sort of 9 o'clock, and we'd be leaving at 6 o'clock in the evening, and you're there all day, serving customers, getting feedback and stocking up, getting orders and deliveries. It's quite full on when you're there. And also we've got like quite a rigorous cleaning schedule. Everything gets rotated through, all the dispensers get cleaned on a regular basis. The products we deal with, particularly like flowers and things, are quite dusty, so everywhere gets dusted and cleaned down every day. So there's always stuff to do. And then on top of that, you've also obviously got to keep on top of the accounting and that sort of thing. But as we've that was really when we first started, first couple of years, we just started to employ few more staff and take a bit of a step back, to give ourselves space to think about how else we could keep natural way getting better rather than just sitting and staying the same all the time. So which was lucky, because then when coronavirus hit, my husband's got cystic fibrosis, so we were then shielding, so we couldn't go into the shop as much. And so now our staff are in there doing that, so we've got lots of processes and things for them. But yeah, so basically first point of call is like serving all the customers, but then there's always cleaning and stocking up to do as well.
Yeah, I can imagine the pandemic, as well as the many challenges it sort of brought to just generally as a business, but sort of being a business that, where everything is not wrapped up and it's all kind of outside of packaging. That must have been a big sort of challenge to try and figure out how to keep everything hygienic in that sense.
Yeah, so I think probably it was interesting, the number of conversations I've had about this. I think probably it was safer for people to shop with us than it is for them to go to a supermarket with things pre-packed, because at least at ours, it's easy for us to just go around and sanitize the handles of all the dispensers regularly through the day. And also we've got the hand sanitizer when you go in and go out. So, there should be very little chance for, I guess, contamination or cross-infection, that sort of thing. But in a supermarket, you don't know how many people have picked up that packet before you, put it back, picked up a different packet, put it back, So in that respect, it's a bit easier. We did cut down, we did say people weren't allowed to bring their own containers in when we first started, when the lockdown first happened, and instead they had to use paper bags that we had in the shop. But even that now, because people are handling their own containers anyway, we've sort of gone back to it, and people seem happy with it. But we just have to keep an eye on all the different measures, and yeah, lots and lots of sanitizer going around.
So you touched on this a little bit, but what would you say the biggest challenge that you faced, apart from coronavirus, the biggest challenge that you've faced so far as a social enterprise?
Well, the biggest one for us is definitely the learning. There's so much to get your head around to do everything properly, and we were really keen to make sure we did do everything properly. We want people to have faith in what we do and to trust that we're doing it all, right. So that means we've got to make sure that all of our suppliers are match our ethics and our morals. And it takes a lot longer. It just took a lot longer than we thought. Like, everything takes so long. I'm sure everybody says this, but there's never enough money to go around, is there? So there's always that sort of like just trying to make sure we've got enough to keep us going, and not obviously spending too much on different things as we went along. But I think probably unusually for us as well, we had that challenge of persuading people to do things a bit differently. So our shops was quite new, it was quite unusual. Certainly for some people, it was quite daunting, and I know they didn't want to, I had a few customers who said, my mum just lives around the corner, but she won't come in because she doesn't know how it works and she's worried she's going to get it wrong. And people are so concerned. They're concerned about spilling things. They're concerned about looking silly, like they haven't got it right. So that was a real challenge, to make people feel comfortable, like it's okay. We've prepared for this. We sweep up regularly. We've got, all sorts of people on hand to help you out if you get stuck. And we try really hard to create a friendly, approachable environment for people, because it can be quite daunting. So that, I think, was a challenge that was maybe a bit unusual to our particular business. But there's everybody else always says skills and money. It's ongoing. What's been the proudest moment for you as a business? That's tricky. That is. We've had. We've been lucky to get a couple of awards. But when we got the one to watch from as a social enterprise, that was pretty exciting. It really felt like people had, felt like what we were doing was important. And worthy of recognition, which always gives you a boost and makes you feel like this is worth carrying on with. To be honest, though, I have to say, on a day-to-day basis, when you're in the shop, when customers just come and say to you, I really enjoyed that product, or I'm so glad you're here because we've got this, that, or the other, or even when people come in and say, because of this, at this shop, for example, when I went to my yoga class last week, I said to them they shouldn't have bottled water, and said they should just have a refill tap or something. And I was like, that's just really, it's giving people confidence to do something different and to think about it and to talk about it as well, which is really good. So it's the little things really that make you proud of what you've done. And I think what we try and do, what we were very worried about was that people would think we were trying to tell them how to do something, tell them they're doing something wrong, even worse, because that just makes people defensive. Nobody wants to be told what they're doing is wrong in their life, you know, and they won't engage with you then. So it was very important for us to sort of present the idea of just come and do it this way and just have a go, see what you like, see if you like it. And then when they've had a go at it, then they can talk to other people in the same sense of positivity, like, look at this way of doing things, it works, it's fine. And so yeah, I think that was quite important as well.
What do you say drives you and gets you up in the morning to sort of push the business forwards?
With we were recording about every sale, and you know, we'd weigh different amounts of plastic, so every sale we were able to say like how many pieces of plastic have we saved, and how many by weight, how much weight, you know, single-use plastic have we avoided being created, which was quite motivating when you looked at it as a whole, but on a day-to-day basis it was just sort of, you couldn't really relate to it. So I think it's the satisfaction of having your own business, of being able to say that this work that I'm doing, I know exactly where it's going and how it's coming back to me in terms of, like, you know, I'm getting rewarded for this thing that I'm doing quite directly. But also that engaging with people on an individual day-to-day basis. It's really, I mean, the vast majority of people are very nice. It's lovely, you know, speaking to people every day, they'll have nice things to say to you. We had a little boy last year, and I'm amazed at going to the shop, the number of people who remember his name. You know, they ask me, you know, how he is, they remember how old he is. So it's a real community thing. It's just a really nice place to work.
If you were to give any advice to someone who was thinking of starting a social enterprise, what would you say to them? Oh
gosh, do it. Definitely do it. Like, it's worth it, or 100%. Don't be afraid to ask for help as well, because there's help from all sorts of different places. You'd be surprised how a casual conversation on the street can lead to an email being passed on to somebody else who's then like, oh, I've heard of some funding, or I know someone who does some graphic designs, or, you know, can do. And the worst that can happen is they'll just say no, or, you know, and it's still worth asking, because they might be able to suggest somebody else to talk to. So it's amazing what's possible when you just make the decision. I think we ummed and ahed. I mean, we're quite a conservative pair. We probably ummed and ahed for quite a while, but we had a bit of a time limit on it, so we had to just make the decision. And if we'd had no time limit, we probably would not have done it, because we'd have convinced ourselves that it was easier not to, it was too risky. So yeah, sometimes you just got to take the leap and you'll find a way.